All right, the boys are back.
Let's go.
Here we go. We're gonna jump right into this one, guys. Do a little Q&A in flight. You guys asked some good questions, so we'll cover those today. Maybe I'll throw in a little startup procedure, takeoff. It's gonna be a good one.
Let's go to work.
Loaded, baby. Let's go. Nashville. All right, so in the G4, we do certain procedures with the flow backed up by the checklist. So here we are starting the engines.
3.2%. Fire in the hole.
All right.
Okay, that's a good start. Everything looks good. We're gonna go ahead and start the left engine now.
Hit it.
Left engine start. Start valve and ignition are open. Want to see some oil pressure come up soon. It's a little cold out today. There you go. We have oil pressure. Positive rotation on the LP. Almost positive. There we go. Now it's positive. Looking for 3.2% on the LP before we introduce fuel. We're almost there. Come down to the fuel cock. There's 3.3%. Fire in the hole. We have light off. TGTs are on the rise. LP spinning quicker. HP's coming up. We still have good oil pressure. Waiting for start valve and ignition to go out. There she is. And we have rollback. That's a good engine start. Now we'll transition into the after engine flow, after start. So start master goes off. Left and right power switches go on. We kill the APU, electrical power. We're gonna check the left to make sure that we have good voltage from the left generator. We check the right, that still looks good. Now we go back to the essential. I'm going to kill the APU by overspeeding it. Fuel pumps come off. I'm going to go up, turn the engine bleeds on. APU air off, engine bleed off. These are our anti-ice heater switches that'll all come on. We arm the emergency power. Flaps to 20. And we'll do our flight control check.
Okay. Good over here.
Good on my side. Check my rudder limit. See it blinking. See it blinking again.
Runway 26 left, clear for takeoff. Stuff over the runway is going to be a left turn.
Alright, copy. Clear for takeoff 26 left, heading 260, 4000, 0, sir.
I'm staying up.
All right, here you go.
Key power, Cessna 7 at 1 bomb call. Full control, runway 26 right for a straight out departure.
Flight controls, bungee check.
Right down,
I got your tops. I see 26 left.
Remember 0 kids here, turn left crossing.
Flaps down, let's rock and roll.
Departing runway 26 left and right.
Alright, I see 26 also. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
And hold it short on 26 right, stand by 1.
Alright, we got out of throttles, airspeed's alive, 60 hold. Hey, cross check is good, your top.
So we'll raise there, take out, turn right 15 degrees.
B1, rotate, pause brake.
You're up. Thumbs up, man, speed 200, front home change.
Traffic. Traffic.
Cherokee 1-2 Juliet, disregard. Cherokee there, did you have the departing Gulfstream? 1-2 Juliet, we got that departing Gulfstream inside. That's the 0 kilo.
Cruise up here in the G4 on our way to Nashville. Guys, you asked so many good questions, not only on my last video, but on my Instagram story and Tom's Instagram story. So
Crazy.
Might as well fill you guys in. So I guess to start things off, give a brief history about both of our flying careers and how we got started. So long story short, and I'll make another video on this a little more in depth, but I started when I was 15. Took my first flight lesson sold at 16, got my license at 17, commercial at 18, started fairing airplanes, built time that way. Found myself in the right seat of jets and turboprops and just built so much time. So by the time I was 21, I was eligible to hop in something like this, and that's when Tommy called me, and I've been doing that ever since. So Tommy's got a pretty interesting story himself. So how'd you get started?
Yeah, so I kind of started out just, I needed an airplane to kind of further my other businesses, and so I bought a little Piper Cherokee 140 and was flying that around. Very quickly after, realized it was way too slow, bought a twin Comanche, and flew that around for about 7-8 years, and got a phone call one day from a friend of mine that was flying Gulfstreams. They were looking for an SIC, and I said, hey, I'll try it, and the next thing you know, it turned into doing some contract stuff for the government, and eventually this gig. So it's really, it's all about knowing the right people. It sounds crazy, but I never thought I'd be a professional pilot as a career, ever.
Well, technically you're retired. You're just doing this for fun.
True.
So a lot of people were asking how we met. I don't even remember. Instagram, maybe?
Yeah, so it started on Instagram, but Owen and I, we have a mutual friend, and
right.
He was going to Oshkosh a few years ago, and I had a Cirrus at the time. My Cirrus, I had a magneto fail on the day I was trying to leave, so I called my buddy, who's also Owen's buddy, and I said, hey, do you have an extra seat on your plane going to Oshkosh? He said, yeah, absolutely, hop on. So I did, and that was the first time I met Owen, and we kind of connected and stayed in contact over the years, and yeah, it worked out really well for both of us.
Yeah, oh yeah, so when I was 21, Tommy calls me, he's like, hey, you want to fly Gulfstream? And I'm like, of course I want to fly Gulfstream. He's like, are you kidding? It's like the dream job. So next thing I know, I'm in Gulfstream school and, flying all around the world shortly after. So that's pretty much all there was to it. It was just networking and, being in the right place in my career in the right time. And here we are. So.
Yeah, we were. I was doing some contracting for the federal government at the time, and we were super busy, and we needed more pilots. And everybody's like, if you know anybody that's young that can hang with the long hours, as you know, government flying, we're exempt from a lot of the 135 rules, so you have to do a lot of stuff and need young blood that's fresh and willing to stay up and grind it out. And I knew Owen was the guy to do it, so I immediately called him. I said, hey, are you interested in doing this? He said, absolutely, I would love to fly Gulfstream. I set him up with my chief pilot, and the next thing you know, he was in school.
So speaking of school, the process to get your G4 type rating, a lot of people are curious what that training entails, how long it takes, etc. So, 22 days and 10 days in the classroom, 10 days in the sim, every single day.
That's it.
That's it.
You wake up, eat, sleep, and poop Gulfstream. That's it. That's all you're thinking about for basically 3 weeks in a day. It's mind-boggling. My experience was a lot different. I was a private multi-instrument pilot when I went, so I fast-tracked through everything. I had 1,500 hours, but I had to do a single-engine commercial, multi-engine commercial, ATP, CTP, and then straight to G4 type school.
That's
so
intense.
I did it all in about 2 months, and it cost me a fortune. But this is the end result, so it works out.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of studying, a lot of limitations you got to know, a lot of systems. So if you're going to a type rating school, my advice would be to get ahead as much as you can before you go, memorize all the limitations, read up on the system, so that way classroom is just a breeze. And they put you in a full motion simulator that's identical to what we're flying right now. If I were to close my eyes, I would think I'm in one. Like, they're super realistic. So we practice all sorts of failures and emergency procedures, all sorts of stuff. And 22 days later, you got your G4 type rating. So simple as that, and it's off to the races. Let's see, some other questions. Here's one for Tommy. What do you look for in a pilot when you're hiring somebody? So you've recommended a lot of people, you've hired people for your own business, running the flight school. So what are you looking for?
Yeah, over the years, I've dealt with all kinds, very low time people to high time people. The first thing that's the most important to me is attitude. When I meet you for the first time, or I talk to you on the phone the first time, are you somebody that I'm going to feel comfortable with sitting next to for 7, 8, sometimes maybe 9 hours when we're really stretching it out on this thing? So that's the most important thing. After that is aptitude. Are you willing? Do you have the smarts that it takes to do, some of the complex calculations we need to fly an airplane like this? And then after that, are you, again, my biggest thing, are you down to grind? Are you going to show up? Are you going to be on time? Are you going to be one of these guys that calls me the night before a trip and, I can't make it for whatever reason, So those are my big things. But most importantly for me is, do I know we're going to get along, and are you going to be able to pass the training? And, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right, so speaking of even getting hired in the corporate aviation industry, how do you even get your foot in the door in the 91-135 industry? We're both going to say the same thing. It's networking.
100% networking. It's literally spending time at the airport, making as many friends as you can. Just like I said, Owen and I, we met on a friend's airplane, and 3 years later, or two and a half years later, the guy that was a friend of mine that invited me in is like, hey, we need more people. The first person I called was him. So 100% network. You know, I get this question in my DMs all the time also. Network. Be at the airport, be present. Don't be the person at the airport that's just walking up to the FBO counter and walking out to the airplane.
Right.
You know, there's people standing around, say hi, introduce yourself, tell them what you're doing, be personable, and next thing you know, you'll be right in the right seat or even the left seat of a Gulfstream. Could be with me.
Get a job, work in line service, even behind the desk at the FBO, anything to just be surrounded by this environment, by these people. That's all you need to do to get your foot in the door. My brother, for example, he's an up-and-coming pilot. He got a job working at the FBO at San Jose. He met all these pilots, and he's basically got a job lined up for him as soon as he gets his hours. So that's the way to do it. It's simple as that. Social media, another great way to network yourself. It's opened a lot of opportunities for me just by keeping in touch with people on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Great ways to open doors.
Yeah, so one of the craziest things I'm going to let you guys know is everybody thinks they're chasing after that magic 1,500 hour to get a job. It's absolutely not true. I know tons and tons of people that have got into Gulfstreams with like 500, 600 hours. So don't get caught up in that tunnel vision that you have to get to 1,500 hours, because there's a ton of operators out there. They'll put you in a Learjet, they'll put you in a King Air, they'll put you in all kinds of stuff, and you can build your hours, get jet time. And the most important thing while you're doing that is you're making contacts. You're meeting every FBO you're going to, even though you're flying the right seat, you're loading bags and you're sweating, whatever it is. You're talking to people everywhere you go, and that's where these next opportunities come from.
Right. Put in the work. Sometimes you got to put in the work, not expecting anything. That's how it is.
100%.
But hard work, I think, goes a long way, especially in this industry, especially now with the pilot shortage. This is very, very good time to be in this industry. Another question for Tom. I just thought of this. A lot of people were commenting on my last video. Happy Dad, Nelk Boys. What's the relationship there?
All right, so long story short, I filled in on an airplane that they flew a couple years ago. We wound up kind of becoming friends, and when it was getting close time for Happy Dad to launch, they were looking for some investors, and I invested a little bit, and so now, I'm not truly part of the team. I'm just an investor, but they take real good care of me. We have a good time all around the world together. So it's just a weird little tie-in, but again, it's something that is an opportunity that came from me just by being in the right seat of a Gulfstream on the day when they needed a ride somewhere. So
that's it. Sweet. Well, we're going to continue our flight to Nashville, guys. On the next flight, we got some more questions. We'll pick it up there. But hope you guys enjoyed that little spiel that we had. A lot of good information there. Thank you, Tommy, for your insight. And we will catch you guys in Nashville. Inside, baby. All right. Made it.
made it.
Boom, boom.
Yeah, straight ahead.
That's
We're
it.
out of here.
Boom. Alright, well that's a wrap. Made it to Nashville, freezing cold, but it is what it is. We're gonna button the plane up, head to the hotel, maybe go see what's popping on Broadway. It's a Friday night, should be fun, and back at it tomorrow, back to the West Coast. Tommy, thanks for all the insightful information today. Super helpful.
That's it. Stay on the grind out there. It's all about who you know.
That's it. Alright guys, catch you on this one.